I always knew Emily's parents hated the idea of me long before they ever saw my face. To them, a man who worked with tools and grease was worlds beneath the polished society they inhabited. But Emily loved me, and for her, I would walk into any storm. Even if that storm happened to live inside a marble-floored mansion with chandeliers older than the country. The day I was supposed to meet them for the first time felt like I was heading to my own execution. I was wearing the only suit I owned, clean, pressed, trying its best to look wealthier than it was. Emily called while I paced my tiny apartment. "Daniel, please remember the script," she begged. "You're not a mechanic tonight. You're in specialized automotive management. And if they ask about your hands woodworking, please, just for one dinner." I tried to laugh. "Emily, I am a mechanic. It's what I do." "I know," she whispered, voice tight. "And I'm proud. But they won't understand. Please, just try." So I promised her. Not because I wanted their approval, but because I wanted her to have peace. I scrubbed my hands raw, got in my restored pickup truck, and drove into the rolling countryside. 1 minute city, next minute private gates, white gravel driveways, mansions bigger than my entire block. I was actually going to be early. A rare miracle. And then I saw her. A breathtaking 1960s Rolls-Royce silver cloud, hood open, a trail of smoke drifting upward. And beside it stood an elderly woman, elegant, pearls, tweed jacket, the definition of old-world dignity, looking completely helpless. The rational voice in my head screamed, "Drive. Keep going. You cannot show up dirty." But the real me had already turned the wheel and stopped. She explained the engine made a terrible clunk and died. When I peeked under the hood, I knew instantly a frayed wire on the distributor cap. "A 20-minute fix if you didn't mind getting filthy." She watched me closely as I worked, asking questions about the engine like someone who actually loved machinery. Not once did she ask about my job, my background, my status. She cared only about the car, and whether I knew my craft. When I finally told her to try it, that engine purred to life like a symphony. Her face lit with genuine joy. "Young man, you're a miracle," she said. "How can I repay you? Just knowing she runs again is enough." She left glowing with gratitude. And there I stood, grease on my hands, stains on my pants, already an hour late. I had chosen the kind of man I wanted to be, but I knew I'd pay for it. I reached the Whitmore estate, 3 stories of brick grandeur, glowing windows, gravel driveway packed with silent luxury sedans. My truck looked like a lost farm animal. Emily opened the door, her face flipping from relief to horror in one heartbeat. "Oh my God, Daniel, what happened?" I started to explain, but then they appeared. Charles and Victoria Whitmore. Perfect posture, perfect clothes, faces carved from ice. They looked at Emily in disgust, then at me like I was something stuck to their shoes. "So," Charles said, voice like a polished blade, "this is the mechanic." I tried to explain the situation. He shut me down instantly. "We do not entertain excuses. Punctuality is respect." His wife looked me up and down, lingering on the grease, and curled her lip. "How rustic," she sneered. "You made no effort to hide what you are." Emily looked crushed. I felt like I had taken a punch for just being myself. "Perhaps we reschedule," Charles said, dismissing me with a flick of the hand. "Come back when you can present a shred of dignity." I turned to leave, heart sinking, when headlights cut across the lawn. A Rolls-Royce. The Rolls-Royce. The same elderly woman stepped out, chauffeur opening the door. Emily's mother gasped, "Mother, why are you? Oh no, not that car." She ignored her completely and walked straight to me, eyes sharp, proud, amused. "This young man," she announced, "spent an hour on the roadside repairing my car. A skill, I might add, none of your elite acquaintances possess." Charles stuttered something weak about me being late and dirty. "A mess," she said. "This is the look of a man who works, a man who helps strangers without expecting reward. Something this household appears to have forgotten. Silence. Humiliating, glorious silence." She took my arm. "Come, Daniel. Sit beside me tonight. It would be a tragedy to waste your company on those who cannot recognize character." I walked into that mansion not as a charity case but as her honored guest. Dinner was surreal. Agatha Whitmore, the family matriarch, kept me at her right, the seat of honor. She ignored her children completely and asked me about engines, craftsmanship, legacy, the art of restoring history. I talked about my work with pride, not dressing it up, just telling the truth I lived. Every time Charles or Victoria tried to speak, she shut them down with surgical precision. At one point she told him, without even looking at him, We are discussing real value, not imaginary numbers you shuffle around a screen. Emily kept giving me this look like she was watching her dreams come true in real time. And when dessert was served, Agatha announced, "My late husband's classic car collection has been gathering dust for 2 decades. Daniel, you will restore it. We will discuss terms in the morning." I nearly dropped my glass. Charles and Victoria looked ready to faint. The greasy mechanic they tried to throw out was suddenly the guardian of their priceless legacy. After the meal, in the foyer, they made one last desperate attempt. "Mother, this man has more character in a single fingerprint," she cut in, "than the two of you have displayed your entire lives." And that was that. Months later, Emily and I were married. Charles and Victoria smiled stiffly the whole time, fear of Agatha radiating off them like perfume. I spent my days in the estate's west garage, restoring masterpieces, my hands proudly dirty. Sometimes I'd invite them down just to watch them squirm as they pretended to admire my work. One evening, driving through the countryside in a fully restored 1965 Jaguar with Emily beside me, sun setting gold over the hills, I realized something. I had gone to that mansion ready to hide who I was, and it was the moment I chose not to pretend, the moment I chose kindness and authenticity, that changed everything. I didn't win them over in spite of who I was. I won because of who I was, grease stains and all.